Hello and welcome to the show. So this week's FailRace versus the community is city car racing. We did this a couple of weeks ago where we all raced stock, either Igo, C1s or Peugeot 107s. This time I've changed things up a little bit. We've also added a couple of cars. So it is now that trio and also a Ford Ka and the Volkswagen Fox. Now all of these have been slightly modified. They are E-Class, they were 275 PI, they have racing tyres and they have about 100 or so horsepower. I made the upgrades so that they're all roughly the same. The Foxes have a little bit more power but weigh a little bit more. The Igos and the Citroens and so on are the lightest but have a little bit less power. They're all kept as equal as possible. You can find these cars on my storefront if you want to have a go with them. They are still up there. While I think about it, the A-Class Acura NSX that I've been driving a lot for the older Tuner Tuesday, that's up there as well. You can also find the FailRace stickers, FailRace logo and the First Gear logo are also up on there. So you can go find my storefront and you can have a go with some of these cars. These are really quite good fun cars to drive. Now the first race, it was all on random grid, so there's no favoritism or anything. Luckily, I think I was on pole or I was on second. I was on the front row. I managed to get a relatively clean start. There's a little bit of kind of scraping that you can hear in the background. It's kind of inevitable that there's going to be the odd panel rubbing in a race like this, especially with cars that are so closely matched. Me and Daniel did a fair bit of testing with these to make sure that they're all relatively even. Unfortunately, there was a spinner at the hairpin. He kind of spun himself out on someone. It's a bit of a weird situation, but it does happen occasionally. Unfortunately, this Citroen, the white and red Citroen, ran into the side of him while he was spun. There's not much you can do when you're sort of facing the wrong way in the crowd of cars, and that was two of them that were pretty significantly broken at the start. Didn't really help too much, and then this one here's got engine damage. I think he eventually retires because his car's pretty wrecked. At the front, the battle was pretty close. I think this is going on to lap 2, and I got a Ka sort of alongside me. There's a Citroen and an Igo. Is that an Igo? No, there's two Citroens behind me. There's an Igo, there's a Ka all in there. We're all pretty close together as we come up towards the hairpin again. Yeah, the Kas are really good handling cars, I have to say. It kind of ended up being the Kas were the handling cars, the Igo, Citroen and the Peugeot, although no one was using a Peugeot in this first race, were a little bit better on straight line speed. You can see Ka was trying to go around the outside, not a good place to be, and then everything went wrong for me. I ended up going a slightly bit on two wheels around the corner, landed awkwardly, got in a massive tank slapper. Now normally when that happens you just slam the brakes on, but you can't here because there's everybody racing, and I ended up dropping down towards the back of the field. I think I actually ended up right at the back of the field, which wasn't too helpful. At the front, a rather brightly coloured Citroen had now taken the lead. My sort of little mini spin had bunched the whole of the front group up, and this guy had managed to come out in first, whatever you want to say. There was a huge battle going on behind him. There's about 4 cars were trying to go wide into that final corner. This was quite a close battle that raged on for a fair time. I'm not really sure actually who had the final touch that spun me out. It was completely my fault. I'd lost control of my car already. You can see there was a slight bit of damage on some of these cars, and Ka's been flung off in the background. Now the damage was on simulation, as with ever when we race. So if you have a collision, you got to break your car. These cars at the front, despite sort of the power rubbings, they didn't really have much more than aero damage. So you'll see these cars. Some of these cars look really quite wrecked, but they only have sort of a little bit of aero damage. A bit further back from the sort of the front group, there was a couple of Foxes. I think almost all the cars were here except for a Peugeot. We're only missing Peugeots in this first race. A couple of Foxes. These were in about 8th and 9th. I can't quite remember. But everything was to go really quite wrong when a Ka's, I think his controller broke. You see there, he's just stopped moving. I think his controller disconnected and he managed to wipe out 4 cars. Again, you can't really do much about that. I think he said it was a wired controller that just went weird and disconnected for no apparent reason. It just happens. It's one of the problems, I guess, with with games. It's inevitable that sometimes things are going to go wrong. It is a shame because there was a good battle going on there, and it took out about 4 cars, and most of them quite heavily damaged and had to dive in the pits. Up at the front, and the groups had kind of split a little bit. There was a battle for 1st to 3rd, and then 4th and 5th were also sort of locked in their own little separate battle. As you can see there, the Ka had managed to make his way past the rather bright pink Citroen. I'm sorry, I can't remember everybody's names who was in different cars, so I'll just say the colour of the car probably, because there's so many people and there's so much going on. It's really quite hard for me to remember. Citroen tries to have a look at coming back at him. We go into the final corner, didn't quite work, and he had a go. I'll give him credit for trying, but he couldn't quite get up alongside him. At the front, and the battle was still very close. I think there's a couple more laps into the race. So you can see still very, very close racing. And this is what I love about this sort of racing, especially with these cars. The racing is very, very, very close. And you can also be close because it's not so fast that the cars are sort of impossible to drive. You see there is an Igo, he was alongside, he can't quite make his move on the KA. These cars were pretty good to drive as well. I was pretty happy with how I eventually got them tuned. I think they were fun to drive. I think everybody seemed to enjoy driving them. They were evenly matched, which I was pleased with, because oh, there's a KA, they got on 2 wheels through that. That wasn't supposed to be part of it, but there we go. Is the KA going to have a look? Not quite. This blue KA, by the way, does have a paint job. For some reason, the replay didn't load it, so I apologise to the guy who made it. When we sort of look at 7th place and back, the field was really spread out. This was because of the incidents at the start of the race. This Igo was caught up with the guy's controller that died, and the 2 Foxes have both sustained quite a bit of damage, had to pit, and then they're sort of falling apart. So yeah, after sort of 7th backwards, I think I was in 6th now. I'd have managed to avoid the controller dying incident. But yeah, sort of further back, the field was very, very spread out. At the front, and again, it was still very close throughout this entire race. The Igo was trying to get past the KA now. A little bit of a nudge there. A little bit heavy-handedly, that one. The KA almost spun out. Now, the advantage with these cars, of course, being front-wheel drive, if you get it sideways, you just boot it, and you can keep the car going in a straight line for most occasions. You can't always save it, but you can save it a lot of the time. Ignore the Fox there, he's a lap down with some engine damage. As we go on to, I think this is the last lap now, and we can see the Citroen has now got a little bit of a lead, but the battle for second is still very much on. There is quite a bit of body damage on these two, I have to say, but the cars are still going strong. KA's run a little bit wider. You might have just about seen me in the background there. I was a fair way back. When everything went wrong for the KA, I feel really sorry for the guy as he managed to roll it off the curb. I didn't know that would happen with these cars, and he fell from second. And of course, because we've got simulation damage on, you can't flip your car back over. It's very unfortunate, that, I have to say, but it's part of racing. Again, it happens. Well, I would say rollover happens, but certainly crashes and breakdowns happen. So yeah, the multicoloured Citroen came in first. The green Igo was second. I think the white and black KA was third. The rather bright pink Citroen was fourth, and I ended up fifth. Daniel couldn't make this event. He was busy, and TJ only joined sort of at the end of this race, so he didn't make it in time for the first race. We move on to race number 2, which is at Iberian Short. I started sort of middle of the pack in this one. TJ is driving a blue KA that's somewhere in there. It's a little bit manic. This first lap is, well, when I think we had about 14 in this race, 14 started this race. It's absolutely mental for this first lap because there's so many little cars all vying, trying to get space on the track. It's very scary, I'm going to be honest. Up front, there is a KA and a Citroen are battling it out. Further back, we have TJ here. When everything goes a little bit wrong, the race had been clean up till this point. TJ gets pushed a little bit wide, and then there's sort of all sorts of chaos going on behind him. I think someone forgot which track we were on and ended up collecting somebody who was actually taking the correct route. There's about 3 or 4 cars that suffered quite a bit of damage in that first corner incident, or not first corner, I don't know, sort of halfway around the track incident. TJ then tried to take a shortcut to avoid someone's car who had a spin, I think, and was recovering from a spin, and got caught on the sticky stuff, which isn't very helpful. I had got a good start this time. I hadn't had any tank slappers and was making my way through the field, and I think this was the move for first. Yeah, I managed to get much better drive out of the first corner. I'm not sure how many people on here drive manual and who drive manually and clutch. Manual and clutch, just for anybody who is wondering, does give you a little bit of advantage on the start line, and it will give you a little bit better acceleration. It's not massive, but it does give you a little bit better acceleration. I wonder if that's what made the difference for me on that overtake there in particular. There was a laggy car in the background. Ignore that. There were some real network troubles with this. Anybody who was trying to join in couldn't. I do apologise. There were so many issues with this one. Now, further back, we have some of the victims from that, whatever corner number it is, incident. This was the Igo that came second in the first race, was now suffering quite a bit of engine damage. There's a Peugeot in this one. You can see in the background just about. There's a Martini Peugeot, the only Peugeot to turn up all afternoon. A bit of a disappointment for the Peugeot. Now, this is a really strange laggy crash incident. I have no idea what went on there. It's bizarre. I mean, like, normally we have cars lagging into each other, but that guy was completely wrecked. Don't know what caused that, but yeah, he was gone. This is the battle for second place now, and we have a KA and a Citroen, and eventually the KA managed to find a way past. But Citroen's going to make it difficult, going to try and run all the way around the outside, and yeah, that's brave. I give these guys credit. That was a very brave move to go around the outside there. Now you're on the inside for these corners, which is where you want to be, and the Citroen just about held its place. That was some very good driving from these two. That is a scary place to try and go around the outside. It's very, very easy to run, even when you're just sort of racing on your own. It's very easy to run wide. I think he missed a gear coming out of that section, which is why he ended up sort of falling back behind the KA, but it's still very, very close between these two. As we go down towards the bomb hole, the Citroen's going to go try again. As you can see, the Citroen does have a little bit better speed, just hasn't quite got as good a handling as that KA. As we go down towards the bomb hole, you don't want to be too wide through there. Luckily, the KA sort of yielded, because otherwise that could have been a nasty crash through there. Ignore the car that's broken on the side of the road. And yeah, them two were having a really good battle in second place. If we look a little bit further back, this is the battle for third and fourth between two of the Igos. This is a little bit further into the race. This multicoloured Igo was, yeah, he was holding third. The dark blue Igo was one of the ones that suffered from the incident at Tsukuba, was sort of closing in on him. And this race was a little bit weird, unlike the Tsukuba one where everybody sort of stayed relatively close together until incidents. In this one here, everyone kind of almost paired up. I'd driven off at the front. There was a battle for second and third. There was a battle for third and fourth. There was a battle for fifth and sixth, which you'll see in a minute. And then the rest of the cars, I think, were damaged. Most of them had suffered damage, which is why they'd fallen a fair way back. Yeah, it was a little bit weird. Also, I don't know quite where the blue Igo went there. It looked like there was like a little laggy jump. But that's a weird one. I'm not quite sure what happened there. But anyway, yeah, the blue Igo managed to lose some time. And this is the battle for fifth and sixth, I think I've remembered. Yeah, I don't know. Between two of the KAs. There's a little bit of a push and shove there. Again, yeah, this was pretty good racing, I have to say. Yeah, again, there's going to be body contact with these cars. Also, different driver skill levels is going to come into things. A slight corner cut there. Yeah, there's inevitably going to be a bit of contact, but the racing was pretty good as he abuses a gearbox. There we go. That's not a gear. There we go. There's a gear in there somewhere. Oh, it could have been laggy replay. I shouldn't say he was abusing the gearbox. I don't really know. The battle for second and third was still going on. This time the KA completely forgot where he's going. I don't know what line that is. You're making up a new racetrack. That's my job. I don't know if he forgot that we're on the short track or what happened there. He ended up running a little bit wide and fell back down to third position. And we go and have a look at the Igos. We're still having a go at each other. This time they were trying to go too wide through the bomb hole section. Again, you can't quite fit two cars through that. Well, you probably could, but it's very scary going too wide through there. It's going to have another look at the top of the hill. No, can't quite get alongside each other. This was another fantastic battle, actually. There was plenty of different sections I could have cut to at different times. There's quite a lot of these good sort of one-on-one battles. As I said, the field had spread out a fair bit. I think... yeah, it was a weird one, this one. The field was really quite spread apart. The Igos were having a very good little race going on here. And you can see, I think this was sort of coming towards the end of the race now, and the blue Igos got a bit of a better run out of the final corner. Can he have a look at the first corner? No, still not quite. Not quite close enough. Further back, the KAs were still surprisingly close to each other. Again, it was another good battle, this one, between these two. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure on levels of damage. Different cars. You have a look at the side of this one. It's got quite a lot of quite a lot of damage. Also, while I think about it, the black and white, not white, yellow. I'm not colourblind. The black and yellow. This one is the blue KA from the first race. For some reason, his livery didn't load in that first race, but it did load here. As we come towards, I think this is the second to last lap now, and our multicoloured Igo just slightly got a little bit wide through that corner. That corner's really nasty. Nearly had a crash coming back onto the track. Yeah, that corner is really quite horrible with these cars because you can't quite take it flat out. The first part of the corner you can, and you get carried away, and then you run wide for the second part, and that can cost you quite a bit of time. Also, there's something weird. I'm not sure what happened there to cause his engine to suddenly break. I don't know if he downshifted by accident and blew it apart, or what happened. It's a very weird one, because when you're listening to it, it doesn't sound like it does anything silly, but yeah, for some reason his engine takes a lot of damage. For me, this had been quite a boring race. If I didn't say boring, it'd been quite a straightforward, it's probably a better way of putting it, race. After the start, I managed to make a pretty good start, and I got into the lead fairly early. I think by lap 2, I was in the lead. And because I wasn't battling anybody, no one was slowing me down, it was a fairly straightforward victory for me, I have to say. And then we do a little bit of a handbrake skid across the line. In the end, the KA managed to find a way back past the Citroen and take second place. The Citroen would end up in third. They weren't hugely far behind me, I have to say. Our blue Igo had battled hard and had managed to get himself up to fourth and was going to stay there because the multicoloured one had suffered a fair bit of engine damage. As you can see here, yeah, there he is, he's still smoking his engine. And the KAs, well, the black and yellow one would finish fifth. Didn't quite have enough time to get past the rather broken Igo. We move on to the third and final race. This is that Camino Viejo short. TJ is again here. TJ crashed out, or the Xbox froze on the last race, so we didn't finish that one. TJ started about second or third on the grid here. I started last, or on the back row. So yeah, ignore, I don't come into this race for a while. This first corner down here is very nasty. I think there was only one victim. The pink Citroen had a little bit of a spin. That first corner is really nasty in these cars. It's horrendous because, right, these cars they were set up with race suspension, and they're quite weird proportions. They are quite narrow, quite tall, and quite short, and they do this. The Fox goes for a little bit of a roll. That's not good because he's fallen in the middle of the track, just about gets away with the Citroen. The other Fox didn't. And luckily, there's a KA who's going to play nice and try and get this car out of the middle of the road. This was a problem and actually he managed to get him over. Well done, KA. This was a problem with these cars. These cars had been set up just to sort of be generally driven. I had spent a little bit of time. The C1, the IGO, and the 107, I had slightly lowered the suspension and slightly stiffened the suspension. As you see me get sort of knocked about a little bit. Now the reason behind that, the reason I did that is to stop these cars being so twitchy. I did some test runs with them sort of without tuning the setup at all, and they were far too twitchy. So I adjusted the suspension a little bit. There's a car gone spinning in the background, or foreground, or somewhere. Someone had a spin down that section, quite a lot of cars did. I think that was the Peugeot actually. But anyway, yeah, as I was saying, these cars were lowered and stiffened suspension to stop them being so twitchy. Now that has the unintended side effect of making them quite scary when you go near the curves, because it is possible to roll them, as you've seen. Now the Fox and the KA didn't have, I hadn't touched the suspension on them at all. That was just racing suspension. So yeah, they were rolling over, and for, well, it's weird. I don't really know how that works. It's a little bit strange. I'm having a bit of a battle here with the multicoloured IGO, getting a bit of a push. And again, that's another example of how in a front-wheel drive car, if you keep your foot down, you can just about keep it from spinning. And there was I think there's a backmarker KA that helped rescue somebody. The Peugeot, the one and only Peugeot in the entire sort of evening, had something weird go on here. Not really sure what happened. I don't know if his controller died or what was going on, because he was off all over the grass. He didn't have the best of evenings yet. It's gone again. Some cones, and cameraman, look the right way, please. Cones magically teleports. Oh, there he is. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with the Peugeot. That was a bit of a weird one. Anyway, he managed to recover and get back on track. What are we looking at now? Is this the battle for near the front? There's some jumpy cars. I think this is the battle for third. Yes, we have white and black KA is battling with an IGO. This is the battle for third. There was some lag issues. They weren't as bad in this race as they were in Iberian. These Forza servers are really dodgy, and I know some people were trying to connect and couldn't. We wanted to have 16-player races. The problem is we could get about 12, 14 connected at once, and then nobody else could join. It was really weird, so I apologise for people who were trying to get in and couldn't, because yeah, the connections would be in a right pain. Anyway, these two are now going to go side by side as they come up towards the corner. It's a bit of a scary place as well. You don't want to be going side by side around here too often. Luckily, because these cars are tiny and not that slow, you also want to avoid the curb, because we've already seen someone roll there. Yeah, they both got around it, luckily, quite safely. Yeah, the advantage of having such small cars and such slow cars is you can go side by side through corners that you normally wouldn't, or you can go three wide into corners that you normally wouldn't. And that's what I like about this racing. It was very good fun racing. This, I was making my way through the field. It was taking a while. As you can see, I think this is for fourth or fifth maybe. The C1 in front of me caught the bump a little bit wrong and went for a spin. I don't know how I managed to get that stopped in time to avoid hitting him. That was very, very lucky for me. Yeah, that bump was particularly nasty. There was a lot of moments I didn't go through every single car through every lap. There were a lot of people were saying about getting on two wheels, and there were a few spins through that section, because yeah, it's a really big curve. If you haven't driven the short circuit, have a go and you'll see how big that curve is and how much of a sort of elevation change that is there, because it's absolutely huge. And in these little tiny cars, it was sort of playing havoc with them. Back at the front, this is now the battle for second. It was two IGOs against each other. The blue and white IGO, I think the Intel IGO, was making very good time through the field. Again, I'm not sure levels of damage on whose car, because once you get, someone pointed out actually last time that once you have over 13 players in a lobby, it stops showing visual damage to reduce lag. There's a KA that's broken in the background, so you have even less indication of levels of damage on cars now. These two, they weren't that far back from TJ, who was still in the lead, until everything went completely wrong, and he too found the curb and rolled it into the wall. Yeah, again, I don't know why it's the KAs or cars, or I always call it KAs. I don't know why it was them that were rolling. Them and the Foxes, both of them had accidents there. It's a little bit weird. Now this battle had now become the battle for first, kind of inadvertently really, without having to do too much. The Igers were still pretty close to each other, but it was this hill again that claimed another victim. This time an Igo got caught out and got flung into the wall. Didn't roll it and could get the car going again, just about, but had suffered, I'm not sure, engine damage, I think. Not quite enough to make it smoke, but had suffered a fair bit of engine damage. Now me and the KA both managed to get past him. That was a little bit scary. Somehow we both managed to get around him. In the end, I came out on top of that little duel, and this was me up to second. There were some people, luckily, who managed to get TJ's car out of the way. One of the big problems with rolling your car on that section is that the road is sort of slanted, so when the cars went up against the wall, as you saw with the Fox, you kind of see it slowly begin to roll down. Luckily, some of the cars that were broken on near the back of the grid sort of volunteered to be rescue cars and just about managed to push him out of the way. But yeah, we were having to be careful around that corner, A, because you don't want to hit the curb, because you just roll or anything, and yeah, there was cars that were stuck there. It's one of those things you can't really do much about. Yeah, I thank the guys who were there trying to push the cars out of the way, because that meant that the rest of us could still keep pushing on. The battle for second was, I think, a little bit faster than that KA. I think he may have had some damage and was managing to slowly pull away. This was a fantastic battle that I didn't know about until I was looking at the replay. This is for 4th and 5th, or is it for, yeah, this is for 4th and 5th at the moment. Again, slight little bit of lag, ignore the car sinking through the floor. However, there is a rather damaged green Igo up in front of them as they go side by side around this section. Again, not the section that I really want to be side by side for. The pink Citroen has got the inside line. Again, you can see TJ's car is still trying to be rescued. They couldn't get that thing to roll over either. Still they are side by side through this whole section. We come up towards the damaged green Igo, who is technically still in front of me. He's still in the 3rd position. It all gets a little bit scrappy through here. Everybody trying to find a little bit of space. But we've got I will remember this colour. It's green. No, pink. It is pink. Honest. There is a green car as well there. Eventually they go 3 wide down there. You definitely don't want to go 3 wide in that first corner. Luckily the Igo had suffered a little bit of damage. It wasn't quite as quick and ended up having to kind of back out of it a little bit. Through the nasty sort of bump corner, again that Igo was on 2 wheels. I'm pretty sure of it. Camera doesn't show it very well. But it's a scary corner. It's fun, I have to say. It's a fantastic corner. Incredibly scary at the same time. And the 2 Citroens are still side by side. They've pretty much spent an entire lap within 10 feet of each other. It was very, very close racing. Very, very good battle. Again, we're going to go, no, can't go around the outside there. They've managed to make TJ's car a little bit further down the road. There were a few retirements from this race with damaged cars, I will say that. We're coming towards the final corner of this lap, and is the Citroen going to have a go? Ooh, can it do it? Nope, too far back. Going to try cut back and go to the inside, and still they're side by side. And go down the start-finish straight. Nope, still go side by side. This is probably the best battle of the entire evening. It was really good. It's like 2 laps of being side by side. Eventually, I think the pink Citroen got a little bit sideways there, lost a little bit of momentum, and then hit the bump again a little bit awkwardly, and lost a tiny little bit more momentum, and ended up falling back a couple of car lengths. Nothing major, but just enough to lose a little bit of time. At the front, well, it's fairly straightforward for the blue Igo. He's have enough time to do a bit of a celebratory spin and finish in reverse, because we'd all been so busy battling each other, and he'd managed to make fairly good progress and avoid all the rolls and incidents. He managed to finish in reverse, and there's a Fox that was one of the badly damaged. I think that's the one that rolled at the start. There's me. I came in second, and in the background there you'll see the KA crossing the line to finish 3rd. The battle for 4th was still going on. This went on for about 3 laps, I think. This is the final corner of the final lap. The pink Citroen is still having a look, still trying to find a way, see if he can get sort of a cutback, get enough drive out of that final corner, but can't quite do it. And then that's the way they are going to finish. It was very, very close time, sort of finishing time between them two, as you would imagine. And finally, we have the green Igo, who was very unlucky, held second for a long time, and then after that incident broke his engine and dropped back to about 6th, I think it is. So there we go. That is another FailRace versus the community. That was a very enjoyable evening. And again, as I said, I'm sorry for anybody who couldn't get connected because of network issues. It's just how the Forza servers work. And yeah, it's a little bit of a shame. Anyway, next week we're still staying on Forza. We are going to go to C-Class cars. Something a little bit different. Okay, not the fastest cars in the world, but you can still get some pretty good cars there. There's going to be C-Class cars at Road Atlanta Short. It's a track that I quite like. and I think it's quite a good track. It's quite a good track for them cars as well. It's not too long. We will do 3 lobbies on that track. We will try and get as many different people in as we can. Now, the banned cars for this are the Mazda MX-5 Generation 1, so the MX-5 Miata. That one is banned. The 97 Civic, the 99 Civic, and the Lancia 037. All of them cars are banned because they are the main leaderboard cars. If you look at the sort of top 200-300 in the leaderboards, they are dominated by them. So we want to make things a little bit more interesting, have a few different cars show up. So them ones there are not allowed. If you wish to take part, if you go to the forums, you can find the link in the description. Sign up to the forums if you haven't already, and then there is a section called FailRace versus the community. There'll be a thread in there. If you go in there, it will be a sign up to take part in this event. If you sign up on there, you will have a guaranteed place in one of the lobbies. If you don't sign up on there and still want to take part, you will have to chance it, because the lobbies may end up being full by then. This race will take place on Saturday. Yes, we're going to do a Saturday one, and it will start at 9 PM GMT time, which is English time. Then we're going to give this a go, so some of the Americans who can't get on at that time will be able to join in this one. So there's 9 PM GMT time. Work it out in whatever other country you are, because there are so many I honestly can't remember all the time zones. And this will be on Saturday, where's my calendar gone? I'm just trying to figure it out. 22nd. There we go. Saturday the 22nd at 9 o'clock start. The lobby will open at 8:45. I will start sending invites out then. We will hopefully get the first race underway at 9 o'clock. And then we will keep going from there. If the lobby isn't full, I will make the lobby public. Anyone can join. The lobby will be public, and you can find. You just look for the name FailRace under the list of lobbies. That will be the host name. Then you can join it from there. However, yeah, if we have enough people sign up on the forums, then it'll be done through there. So that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I think I've waffled on long enough about how to join in. So I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, goodbye.